Peace, peace, peace to the family. Peace, y'all. Greetings. Welcome. What's good with you? Peace, peace, love, and light. Welcome back. What's good with y'all? On this Saturn day. What's good with the family? Peace. Peace, peace, peace. Peace to the God. Peace. Grand Rising. Greetings, greetings, greetings. What's good with y'all? Wanted to tap in. It's been a minute. A lot going on in the world. Feel me? Shout out to Philly. Supreme Risings. I love that. That's even better than Grand Risings. I love Supreme Risings. Shout out to CT. Shout out to Savannah. What's good with y'all? Shout out to Brooklyn if y'all in the building. Right? Shout out to BK. Yeah, it's a lot going on. It's a lot going on. You know what I'm saying? I definitely wanted to tap in. It's been a minute. You know what I'm saying? Brooklyn Rising. Shout out to BK. Shout out to Brooklyn. Shout out to Nicholas Brooklyn. Right? They have some amazing events coming to town. They're strong in. See if I could throw any flyers up there. BK, if y'all in the building, you're in for some treats. You might want to pull up on Nicholas. See if I can find these flyers. Okay, today at Nicholas Brooklyn, you got the urban farmhand. All right, Farmer Chris. Legendary, the brothers coming through to show y'all how to utilize permaculture, right? Growing food in urban settings, right in your crib, right on the windowsill, the roof, the basement, closets, you name it. You know what I'm saying? There's ways to get around it. Even if you live in the city, you can still grow your food. Learn from an expert. The farmer Chris is coming through to Nicholas Brooklyn. All right? That's today. Shout out to my brother, Hey Rue. This is the progenitor of the olive oil extract, which is a profound product. I've used it before. It almost kind of works like, what's the oregano, is very good, a good product. And his brother's world travel. He has a lot of information, great information on crypto and investment. I definitely would pull up to Nicholas and check the brother out. Brother Hey Rule. That's later on today as well. They got a double header. It looks like a triple header over at Nicholas Brooklyn this strong in. And tomorrow, legendary, living legends, titans of truth, Kaba, right? Khamenei and Baba James Smalls will be in the building tomorrow. This is in Brooklyn. At Nicholas Brooklyn, you want to pull up on the family. You know what I'm saying? They will be in the building delivering a monumental presentation. If nothing else, once again, these are living legends. If it's within your ability to do so, I would love if you pull up and show them some support. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Monique. They're celebrating their 50th year of service in the community, and this is their spiritual legacies. Volume number 12. I was part of it earlier this year. They've just been having heavy hitters come through there every month. You know what I'm saying? And these brothers, these elders are worthy. And yeah, if it's in your ability to pull up, please do so, right? Let's keep the support reciprocated, the continuous support of those in the community to support us. And Nicholas Brooklyn is definitely one of those situations, all right? Put an article up yesterday about Google, right? And its initial investment in 2006 into YouTube, they spent about $1.6 billion, right? It's a very lucrative investment. Their ROI has been exponential. They're more than 100x, right? They have earned $144 billion in ad revenue since 2006, right? And that was one hell of a gamble. YouTube only came out in 2005. And a lot of people weren't there, so they don't remember, what started YouTube. Shout out to America Sutton, Free Sound Therapy Sunday at Smash Studios ATL, 2 to 6 p.m., right? I had the time of my life last strong in. Going to her premiere, her debut of Smash Studios in Atlanta. Cannot wait to get back in there and do some work. All right. YouTube was created in 2005, and it was the only site on the internet where we can go and access the Nipplegate content, which was Janet Jackson's exposing the nipple in the Super Bowl. CBS got the internet scraped of any clip that involved it. I think MTV did as well, because MTV might have been the ones that was producing the halftime show, as I remember it. MTV leveraged and used their power to scrape the internet of that footage so you could not see it. And there was a little startup site called YouTube. And that was the only place that we can go and see that video and access that video. And that was the birth of YouTube. You feel me? And it became a user content generator site and an aggregator site like WorldStar. WorldStar's an aggregator site. You know what I'm saying? And then Soulja Boy mined the YouTube algorithm. He was the first YouTube star. And no one could understand why Google aggregated or why Google acquired YouTube that early in the game, because Google is a news aggregator site. They're a search engine site. And YouTube kind of becomes the search engine for video, right? So it makes sense. If the Google search engine is the search engine for physical articles or what have you, YouTube would be somewhat of the search engine for the video catalog. Yeah, so there $144 billion ultimately was generated off of a nipple. And I don't have the picture on me right now. I wish I did so I could pull it up just to show you the effectiveness of ritual, right? The incident with Janet Jackson at the Super Bowl with Justin Timberlake took place on February 3rd, and that was during a festival, a Celtic festival nonetheless, right? And Justin Timberlake, by proxy, is Irish, right? It was a Celtic festival called Imbolc, Imbolk, or BOLC, I believe. You can Google it, Imbolc. And it's a festivity that deals with like rejuvenation, and the emphasis is on the breast because it lactates, right? And women give life, right? The breast is where life derives from. You feel me? The breast is where life derives from. So Janet Jackson had a picture, or she had an emblem on her nipple, which was a sun with the sun rays around it, right? If you will recall, specifically the iconography that comes out of Kemet, they always show Heru, the sun, sitting on the lap of his mother, or Set or Isis, suckling her breasts, right? And that particular iconography was embellic of the symbol of the sun around her nipple, right? It was a solar ritual dealing with spring, which is rejuvenation, the lactating season. You know what I'm saying? And that particular lactation is what brings back life. So that's what it represented. It represented a life-giving ceremony, a life-giving ritual, right? A life-giving celebration. And I'll be damned, her lactation gave life. You feel me? Her lactation gave life to a platform that is now evaluated at $144 billion. That's one hell of a contribution, you know what I'm saying, of colostrum fluid. So shout out to Janet Jackson, Miss Jackson, if you're nasty, right? Yeah. Shout out to her. Right? And ironically, yeah, Justin Timberlake, he's washed up right now. He's receiving a pretty tough ride. They said, he had to cancel his tour recently. I think he just had a divorce. He's going through back pains and what have you, injuries, sustaining injuries. So he's not having the best time. You feel me? I don't wish no malice or no bad harm to that individual. I just don't like how they carried it, when she went through what she went through. You know what I'm saying? How that was like his he stepped on mad women in the industry to come up. You know what I'm saying? Brittany, Janet, and I'm sure Christina Aguilera, right? Yeah, he left her hanging. He stunted on her. That was almost like his come up. You know what I'm saying? And he ascended, his star ascended initially at that time, but he couldn't sustain his ascension, and his star has, for the most part, you know what I'm saying, his star is dimmed. But shout out to Janet Jackson, again, and the sacrifice that family, that entire family has given to entertainment. You know what I'm saying? It's been unprecedented. The things that they are responsible for that they don't even get credit for, right? Such as what we're talking about. And, shout out to YouTube. Shout out to the creatives that have found a home on YouTube. Shout out to the programming on YouTube. I've had my issues with YouTube up and down, but I'm still indebted to YouTube. You know what I'm saying? I've learned so much from YouTube. I've been able to connect with so many community through YouTube, and I've seen YouTube foster the environment that allows the free flow of information when it wasn't so heavily censored. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to YouTube for what it represents. We do want to inform the family, though, that we are consistently making strides and improving what it is that we have to prove and learn from our experiences. So after YouTube deleted our page in October, well, it was last year. It was for an infraction that happened on Friday the 13th, which was October 13th of last year. I've just been focusing on solutions. So this is...
Who will we let, right? Who will we let? The people, they do decide.
Oh.
The reason why I like this Kendrick battle and the points that they're making is that there's a separation being made between artistry and pop. and pop people could stay where they at.
So that's streaming on
that idea
OCT
down, that if
network.
happiness is not now, then it's never. Because if you think that happiness is only something you can pursue, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, if it's only something you pursue in the future, then it's always going to be something you're pursuing, but something you never have. You don't pursue something you already have. And so if you already have it, and this is something that gratitude does, gratitude...
There we go.
With this outcome, and soon other runaways began arriving in St. Augustine. Have you heard? Florida officials repeatedly solicited Spain for guidance, and finally, on November 7th, 1693, Charles II issued a royal proclamation giving liberty to all, the men as well as the women.
So if you already have it, and this is something that gratitude does, gratitude...
That's
with this outcome, and soon other runaways began arriving in St. Augustine.
Have you heard?
Florida officials repeatedly solicited Spain for guidance, and finally, on November 7th, 1693, Charles II issued a royal proclamation
Giving liberty to all, the men as well as the women.
Finally, on November 7th, 16...
Look, that's KTL Plus. KTL Plus is on a streaming network called connecttoyourcity.com. You can log on to it if you have Fire Stick, Roku, Apple TV, any of those particular streaming mediums. You can pull up our channel, connecttoyourcity.com, connecttoyourcity.com. And if you see the format, it's like TV Guide. You know what I'm saying? It's 150 channels on there, and they all stream 24/7. 24/7 worth, 24 hours and 7 days worth of content is on these networks, and they're constantly being updated with new content and new content and new creatives. And again, this is an OTT network. It's called Over the Top, right? Which means that it streams over, unlike cable streams, over cable wires that go under the sea. These stream over the internet. You know what I'm saying? And it cannot be blocked. It can't be censored. It can't be taken down. And it's TV in essence. It's just the future of TV because it's combined with the internet. But this is where the future of things are going. Like I said, it's 24/7 programming, 150 different channels on there. And, moving into this new year, we really want to reach out to other creatives, right? And overemphasize the importance of having your own, being in control.
Who will we let, right? Who will we let? The people, they do decide. The reason why I like this Kendrick battle and the points that they're making is that there's a separation being made between artistry and pop. and pop people could stay.
So, that's the latest and the greatest. That's what we've been working on for quite some time, just getting everything situated, and really stepping into the game as broadcasters, as publishers, as distributors. You know what I'm saying? And this gives us the ability, on site to create a situation in venues that we work at, such as the bookstore gallery. We're able to designate that venue now as a studio because any content that is created from there, we can immediately publish it on our streaming networks. And that publishing, pushes it into the category of now being published, right? You're broadcasted over streaming. You're published in terms of the content being published. You know what I'm saying? And that's the difference between movie productions and movie studios, right? Like, you could be a production house, you can film a movie, you can edit the movie and everything, but you still got to look for distribution. And that's what content creators have not had the ability to have. They have not necessarily been the producers of the content and also the distributors of it, right? And own every single vertical that goes along with that. You know what I mean? In terms of the advertising, the merchandising, the everything that goes along with the whole process. So there's nothing that Netflix has as a network, as a template, as a structure. There's nothing the network has that we don't have other than millions of viewers initially, right? But, we're building something from the ground up. And that's where we at with the process. And December 31st, we have a New Year's festivity at the Bookstore Gallery, which is at 488 Edgewood in the 04th Ward of Atlanta. And we'll be debuting the network, we'll be debuting the facilities, we'll be debuting the services that go along with the facilities, with the membership package of the facility, right? So we invite you all, the link is in the bio, to pull up to this event, right? I got a little commercial here, real quick, that I'm going to spin for y'all. I'm going to drop the flyer afterwards.
Peace, New York, Brother Blueport, live and direct. We are here at the Bookstore Gallery Studio. We want to let you know that we have a day party for New Year's Eve coming up. That's from 2 to 7, free 99. You can slide through for the day party for the debut of the Bookstore Gallery. That is on New Year's Eve. All right? Then afterwards, we have a paid party that is from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. And you can get your tickets for that on rsvp.com. And we look forward to seeing you. Peace, love, and light. New York, Brother Blueport, live and direct. We are here at the Bookstore Gallery Studio. We want to let you know.
Yeah, so So that, the streaming service is available now. It's not like, we're gonna drop it. It's already dropped. It's out. It's operable. Like I said, you can access as well that through the link in my bio, or you can go straight to connecttoyourcity.com. I'll pin it down here and just check us out. You know what I'm saying? And again, this will also be an open call to creatives, right? To get in your bag, of ownership. You know what I'm saying? Like, to really step it up, and oh boy, I got a little troll in here. Shout out to the trolls, man. It's like, I don't know if y'all realize how important you could potentially be, because nobody be on top of things like trolls. You know what I'm saying? Trolls don't miss a live. You feel me? Trolls don't fail to comment. Trolls don't fail to advertise and share your content for free. Trolls are some of the best, they're disgruntled employees, but employees nonetheless, they're some of the best employees on the planet. And if they could get a union together for trolls, trolls can do more for your business than dedicated employees, right? There's very few entities that dedicate themselves like trolls. So shout out to the trolls, man. Y'all are something else, Oh, I joined Fanbase this week as well. That was also a milestone. It's been a long time coming, but I felt that it was needed and necessary, right? That I put my hat in the ring and I finally take a step over there. Again, in the spirit of expanding our media, in the spirit of supporting melanated businesses, I really do think that Isaac Hayes Jr. is a borderline genius, right? And I dig the way, I respect his thought process. I respect his execution. I respect his ability to see an opening for business. And, he sacrificed and put together a product that is a superior product. If you go over there and you check the usability, you check the utility of that app, and the app I'm speaking about is Fanbase, it's an amazing piece of technology. It's an amazing piece of technology. You know what I'm saying? And you got to give him that. So salute to that brother. And I'll be over there under the same name, the same handle. If y'all want to pull up, if you are on Fanbase, you know what I'm saying? Shoot me a follow and I'll follow back. Caught an article yesterday from one of my favorite artists, and it was a very inspiring article. He spoke on some things that have been lingering in my mind for quite some time, and it was able to give me more perspective into the thought process of one of my favorite artists, one of my favorite creatives, which is Andre 3000, right? So if you haven't yet caught his article in Rolling Stone, I highly recommend it. It's a good read, especially if you are a Dre 3000 or Outkast fan. I highly recommend that you go and check out our good brother in his own words, you know what I'm saying, sharing his thought modality. This year, everybody that I've spoken to that has visited Japan wants to live there, and they speak about it like it's one of those trips that you have to take, almost like how they speak about going to the continent and returning home, you know what I'm saying, and touching that land, that land back on the continent, and feeling like, you've arrived and came back home. So it's the same thing that people have been speaking about when they go to Japan, you know what I'm saying? They just admonish their experience in Japan and speak about how culture it is and how it makes you step up whatever you're doing 10x. You're just inspired to do better because they strive for excellence out there, and they're culturally disciplined. And it's just the culture. Everybody speaks about the culture. You know what I'm saying? The preference that they have for culture, the respect, the reverence that they have for culture. I definitely want to visit Japan. But I'm just startled by how many people that I know that once they visit, they said that that's where they want to live. They want to move out there. And I'm like, wow, it had an effect on you like that. They was like, yeah, I need to be immersed in that field. So shout out to Japan. I ain't going nowhere near Fukushima though, but shout out to Japan. Shout out to the family that has visited Japan, that has those amazing stories. And once again, if you follow through and you read this interview with Dre and Rolling Stones, he speaks on his experiences in Japan and the fact that, he's considering wanting to move there. The anonymity, that's what Ye was speaking about when he was speaking earlier this year about moving to Japan. When Keys came back from there, when AA came back from there, they both spoke about the cleanliness, the culture, and their ability to have anonymity as well. You know what I mean? And that's the funny thing, for people who have achieved some level of fame or infamy, right? That even though attention is the new currency, you'll find from a lot of people, who receive a lot of attention, that at some point, the only thing that they want is to not have that amount of attention. It's cute at first, but not being able to, walk down the street, go to a restaurant, you feel me? Have personal time with the people that you really want to be personal with. Yeah, it impedes your ability to just be normal. You know what I'm saying? And that conversation has been coming up lately, right? Because again, the impetus and I guess everything that we do is to not be normal, is to be extraordinary. You know what I'm saying? And as I sat back and I've watched my contemporaries and I've watched people that, you're around people and you see them take off. You know what I'm saying? I have seen that the majority of my life. I've seen people standing right next to me, and then in a few months, if not a year, catapult, they out of here, And I've also seen some of those people become prisoners of their own fame, right? Because, they're disconnected. They're no longer connected to, quote unquote, the normal person, right? They're now abnormal. And, being abnormal to a degree, it works for some things, but it doesn't work for others, especially when you get so far up there, but then you have to reconcile with the possibility of falling from those vainglorious heights. You know what I'm saying? Because you became so removed and so disconnected from your base audience or the people that you are saying are at the quote-unquote bottom. That's the majority of people that are going to make up your base or your viewership or your followers or the attention that you covet, So it's alarming and disheartening watching some of the things that I have seen in the last 2 or 3 weeks. And I have the ability to look at all of these incidents, which are separate incidents unto themselves, but they're all telling somewhat of a categorical story, right? Somewhat of a categorical story about what are these stories collectively telling? These stories are collectively telling, I'm trying to put it in words. I'm trying to put it in words that are succinct, right? I don't want to be all over the map with it. Don't ever outgrow your base, right? A tree never outgrows its roots, right? The leaves never think that they're disconnected from the roots, even though the leaves are having a very individualized, personalized experience. I'm sure that they're mindful that their veins, right, are still connected to the root system, and the roots are responsible for pumping nutrients to the veins so the veins can look healthy. The veins is not up there flourishing like, oh, I'm a healthy leaf, and you know what I'm saying? Fuck them roots. It's just me and the sun, son. I think that even a tree understands its connectivity to all things that it belongs to in the ecosystem. I would say, what we are observing in our community is a helpful reminder to anybody who gets to vainglorious heights, to anyone who may appear to have outgrown their audience. It's impossible for you to do so. You know what I'm saying? You are conjoined and tethered to that audience as well. And we should always act in that capacity that we understand the importance of our relationship to our audience. You know what I'm saying? A tree is not dismissive of the root system that's responsible for keeping the leaves healthy. The leaves are green and they're flourishing not simply because the sun is shining on them, but the roots underneath the ground are responsible for distributing the necessary nutrients for the leaves to still be green and flourish. And the leaves are thankful, I'm sure, to the job that the roots do. And it has to be the same thing, when you forage a audience, you know what I'm saying, when you create something that is worthwhile of people's attention, right? And their energy and the receptivity that the energy gives. Like, if people want to know what you went to, if you're, if they constantly want to keep up, if your information is something that people feel that they have to, or that is worthy of them coming back to, you have to foster that relationship and treat it like something that's sustainable. You know what I'm saying? So we're watching different levels of people breaking that bond, right? For whatever reason. And we see in these cases, there's different things that are happening individually that are showing, where the breaks happen. And there are certain breaks that we're seeing can't be repaired. And there are other breaks that we're seeing, right? The willingness, if individuals are willing to learn from them lessons, then they definitely can rebound from them. Last year was about melanated men specifically not wanting to take accountability for their actions. Even when they get caught with their hands in the cookie jar, they get called out, right? Oh my God, like, what are you talking about? Not me. You feel me? So this year, you would have to step back and ask yourself, are we seeing any different? Has there been any changes? And what have been the results of those particular changes? Right? I haven't seen accountability in a long time from people in power that seemingly, stumble or do something that's unbecoming of their character in public. Not too many people know how to fall on the sword. The president-elect hasn't. He don't, right? So the signals that you're getting from leadership is that, deniability and deflection, right, can be powerful tools if you can wait out the truth. You feel me? When is the next t-shirt day, nigga? I don't even know what a t-shirt day is, but yeah, it's a lot of lessons there's a lot of ability to extract life lessons from the things that are happening in our community that we're bearing witness to, rather than pointing things out and magnifying them for whatever reason. In your personal time and your personal journey, just observe what's going on. You know what I'm saying? And take notes and step back and make comparisons. You feel me? And then write down, like, damn, what am I looking at? What can this possibly be? Right? And why now? Why are these lessons coming about now? You feel me? So, in this article, Andre 3000 was speaking about his fans, right? He was speaking about the fanatic nature of fans. And, you know, the what's the word to say? How can I word it? Or how did he word it specifically? He was speaking about the unrealistic expectations that your fan base has for you, to live a life that they expect you to live that's compliant with their expectations for you. Like, irrespective of what you may have going on in your life, where that album at, nigga? You know what I'm saying? Where's that album? They expect you to be that same individual they was introduced to. And that is not that they don't want change. They just expect you, right, to know what it is that they are expecting of you and deliver. And when you don't, then they become contemptuous. And they deal with you from that place as if you let them down. Well, you like, damn, I wasn't even up on the memo that I was supposed to be doing these things for you. You feel me? So it's a very interesting article in the Rolling Stones with Andre 3000 about, how he has outgrown the expectations that his fan base has had for him. So it is very, very interesting article to check out if you have the time. You know what I'm saying? And he's just very revealing about life, and he just seems like a creative individual that's still trying to get it all together. He don't have all of the answers. He is definitely still in his metamorphosis period, attempting to find himself. You know what I'm saying? And he's out here. He's lingering. He's moving around. And in the process of doing that, he is obeying his spirit to create. However, it's calling upon him. What he's saying is that it's not calling upon him right now to do raps, right? So he doesn't envision himself, returning to the booth and producing a solo album specifically at any point. And he made a good point to note that he's never been a solo artist. You feel me? The things that we're speaking about with him, he's done features on other people's songs. He's never been a soloist. He's never been a solo artist. So he don't even have that in him. He doesn't even have the capacity to create on his own. If he's showing up and giving features to another artist, he's feeding off of the artist. He said that he did a one-off for The Love Below because it was supposed to be a movie, and he was supplying soundtrack music to that movie. And if you listen to The Love Below, it definitely comes off like that, right? It comes off like how Prince might have soundtracked it or did the score for Strawberry Bridge or something. You feel me? It was like in that vein. It definitely played like a movie, right? Here Trump is saying that the GOP is going to push to do away with daylight savings. That would definitely be a plus, right? Shout out to my brother Human. I seen him pop in the chat. Human, we got to speak about this. The case for Nietzsche's overhuman as a prophecy of superintelligent AI, right? I think that, me and Red often speak about the Ubermensch, right, which has been mistranslated to mean the Superman. This is coming from the Western philosophical thought process that gave birth to white supremacy. Okay, Nietzsche, right? This is the ideological thought process that Hitler and them utilized to create the superhuman. Okay, it's an interesting article. There's also something that I highly recommend that you sit down and read if you have the time. And it's speaking about looking at his concept, which came out in the late 1800s, but it has spawned Western philosophical thought. And if you live in the Western world, you live under Western intellect. That's the thing that's unique, that has you, for the most part, under their thumbprint. It's the philosophy. It's their intellect, right? You might want to check this article out, just to get an understanding of, how they're perceiving their externalized creation of artificial intelligence, right? And what transhumanism, in their mind, not your mind, what transhumanism in their mind speaks to in terms of an extension of their intelligence going places that they couldn't possibly go with their physiology, but they're able to do it with artificial intelligence. So, might want to read into that, right? Might want to read into that. Let me see what else we got up here. Again, this was a very interesting article here, right? And this was speaking about the most ancient DNA that they found in Europe. Okay? And, it specifically, according to their research and their narrative, it's their out of Africa theory, right? It promotes their out of Africa theory about melanated people coming from the continent and coming up into Germany and other European regions, and they formulated a race of people that they said no longer exists, right? Our brother Kaba Khomeini, he speaks about that as the super sapiens, these ancient, antiquated, melanated people that existed at one point that were super intelligent. You know what I'm saying? And in science, they call that, what did they call it recently? In 2020, right before C19 came out, they had a series of articles. They were speaking about the super genes. They have found a distinct gene in melanated people, and they was in sub-Saharan Africa, right? They have found a distinct gene that they call the ghost gene, and this ghost gene belonged to like a superhuman race of people. And some people later on in that research, they said, they were speaking about the Yoruba, and those genes actually belong to the Orisha. It was a point in time when the gods were actually on the planet X, Y, and Z. You feel me? So that's something that they was running with. But I highly recommend this article, especially if you live in Europe and you are struggling with identity, right? Because then people that's telling you horrible things about your past and your history and how they came to know who you are, they're lying, right? And you might want to get some reinforcement with the information to back your thing up. So this is one of them articles that you can get your hands on, right? The DNA was found in Germany, right? And they found DNA to match the mother and her daughter, which means that they found mitochondrial material, right? Yeah. Somebody was like Henrietta Lacks. Well, this was the Henrietta Lacks from 40,000 years ago. You feel me? So, yeah. Check that article out. A whole lot of information that can be potentially useful. All right? Again, what else have we here? Pitchforks are here. The pitchforks are here. Populist out. Okay. Right. The pitchforks are here. Populist out. The rise of for the most part, they're speaking about the populists, right? And the fact that, the line has been drawn in the sand, and the sentiments at this particular time are eat the rich. And we also can see the situation playing out. We saw the situation playing out across the internet in the last 2 or 3 weeks, right? That the attempts to prosecute, to go after billionaires, has not been met with the level of sympathy or support from the general public, because people are like, they not like us, right? So F them. There's this disconnect, this demarcation line that has been drawn, where people that are the have-nots are like, well, whatever happens to the haves, so be it. So the United Healthcare CEO getting shot in Manhattan, billionaires catching cases, right? Even Billy Carson going through a situation that's unfavorable, right? People have a tendency to not feel as empathetic anymore because they're feeling it. You know what I'm saying? They're physically feeling it, yes, in their pockets, and they're saying we got bigger issues, and it's almost impossible for them to feel empathy for people who they no longer feel sharing those issues with them. So there's a rise in a populist agenda. And somebody made a point to me that was very poignant the other day. And it was like, but if that's the case, you feel me? Why are they up under the deodorant of billionaire white boys, right? If there's a populist agenda and it's eat the rich, they seem to be following white men very succinctly. And I had to remind that individual, I say, well, those particular white men that you're speaking about understand the psychology of the Western mind, and they're playing to it, right? They're not coming across and appearing to be, better, loftier than thou. Even if they are the richest people on the planet, they're still kowtowing to a populist agenda, and they're making the people feel like they are championing their cause, and they're one of them, right? They have managed somehow to make the people feel a level of commonality, and the people feel like, oh, you might be a billionaire, but you one of us because you fight in the system. You feel me? And it's us versus them. And you more like us than you are them. So they're simplifying, all of these societal issues that we're going through, and they're just drawing a line in the sand. It's the same thing that happened with Drake. You feel me? Everybody's coming for the helmet. Everybody's coming for the head of whoever's on top, especially if you appear to be disconnected from the rest of the body, right? They are cutting the nose to spite the face right now. You feel me? Why is nobody talking about all these bots they're pushing out and the UAB drones? Oh, we could talk about that as well, right? And we could theorize. We could sit here all day and get into theory, because, nothing outside of theory will be able to explain the phenomena of what we're seeing, the lethargic response to what easily can be deemed a viable threat, in the skies. And this is not the first time that we've seen it. We've seen their willingness to ignore it. Last year, what was it, last February, when it was happening over, a bunch of different skies, right? Right around the time of the Super Bowl. Remember when they had the Chinese balloons? So they was ignoring it then. They was making excuses. You feel me? They was rocking the people to sleep. You know what I'm saying? They was hitting y'all with sleeping salt, telling y'all that y'all had nothing to worry about, even though that they weren't able to identify what it was that they're up against, right? These people maintain a level of sovereignty over the sky, okay? That's why the eagle is the motif of strength here in America militaristically, because of their air dominance, their Air Force, not the Navy, you know what I'm saying? Necessarily, even though they are a maritime power as well, but it's the Air Force, it's their air defense, which makes America militaristically what America is. So how's America supposed to now tell you that they no longer have control over their skies, that they don't own the safety and the security of the skies? They just can't outright tell you that. You feel me? But where's all of the satellite defense? Why is the satellites, why are you only seeing footage from the bottom up, from the ground to the sky? Where's the satellites that are showing you footage from above looking down? How fast are these things moving? How could you not identify objects in the sky? How can there still be a conversation about, the Populist is getting it mixed up because that's possibly aircraft in the sky? No, there's all kind of ways to track what aircraft is and what aircraft is, and you could get an app that tells you that. Like who? That's what I'm saying. Like, it's the level of discernment for me. It's the level of discernment for me that people they're not using their critical thinking skills. You feel me? But expecting to hear excuses. Yes, I'm very familiar with Dr. Stephen Greer. And Dr. Stephen Greer said that these programs are above military, right? And specifically, I have a tendency to believe what he's saying because if you read the article, I'm going to see if I can pull one of them up now. They said that they're not authorized. They don't have the authority to shoot anything down. Let me see, was it here? Fentanyl found inside dolphins. That's a whole nother conversation. Whew. Trump GOP will push daylight savings. Is this it? No, this is not the daylight savings conversation. I got different articles that I clipped, so I'm just trying to find if I have that page in front of me. But nonetheless, was it here? Findings indicate pharmaceuticals. No, this is the dope this is the fentanyl they found in the dolphins. We'll talk about that. Shit crazy. Fentanyls and dolphins. Goodreads. Okay, this is the assassin saying his info. But nonetheless, I'm very mindful because I read the article this morning. It wasn't too long ago. I just said, let me screenshot it because if I talk about this, I want to show them, right, in black and white, what these people said. They said they don't have the authority to make the decision to shoot down the craft, right? So they're going to tell you, we don't know what it is, right? But it's no threat. We don't know what it is, but it's not a threat. And therefore, because it's not a threat, we can't shoot it down. But we couldn't shoot it down if we wanted to because we don't have the permission to. So Stephen Greer speaks about the same thing that Trump and them run with in terms of shadow government or what they call deep state. You know what I'm saying? Stephen Greer is a lot more descriptive, and his explanations are more aligned with what we have already been socially programmed with by shows like The X-File. You feel me? Shows like The X-File. So shows like The X-File speak about shadow governments, right? Of there being a government above the government that deals with black op programs. You know what I'm saying? And he said that this particular part of the government, which is transnational, right? It's not just a quote unquote a U.S. thing. These would be a transnational shadow government because, the craft and what have you that they're developing. And again, if you have had any experience with craft, you know what I'm saying? If you had any experience with craft, and while we're at it, let me say this. Now, I don't want to compound on the issue, But I was saying this in the last month before a lot of these incidents popped up. And it was speaking about the people in our community that are associated with aliens and UFOs. I was saying that there's an onus of proof that we should have in this community, that if you can't call up a craft, if you can't communicate with a craft, or if you've never been in contact with one or on one, you should not be the subject matter expert in our community speaking about aliens or craft or anything that is particularly in that realm. You should defer and refer the conversations to someone who has more of an intimate relationship or knowledge of the subject matter. And I'm not voting myself for it. I just know that when I was communicating with craft, nobody was ready to have that conversation. You know what I'm saying? And I know that they can be communicated with, and I know that they'll communicate back with you, and I know that they're very interactive, and I know that there's a way to distinguish between which one they are and the ones that are government, right? Because the ones that communicate with us, that are of us, they're not like metallic. They don't have those blinking lights like that. There's nothing human about them, if you understand what I'm saying. There's nothing man-made about them is what I really wanted to say. You feel me? And you could tell the difference between the man-made crafts. They look like they was made by man. You feel me? Whereas the crafts that are not made by man, they move in a way that you know is not necessarily relegated to what you know the human anatomy can necessarily do, or there's no technology that can move at not just the speed, it's the variation of angles. Dip, right? Disappear, reappear, become small and elongated. You know what I'm saying? Shrink. Communicate with you telepathically. Yeah, shout out to Bobby Hemmett. Bobby Hemmett did communicate with Kraft. He did call Kraft up. Shout out to Delbert Blair. Delbert Blair damn sure showed us crafts after class, after saying, look, I'm going to call the crafts up. They're going to be outside. Bobby Hemmett did it. Delbert Blair done it. I've done it. You feel me? So, yeah, shout out to Sharif Bey, right? Again, the information that he brings around the craft is a very thorough piece of information, because he'll go and get the whistleblowers. He'll go and get the reports, right? And he also traces the reports back to things that have been said. When I say in antiquity, I don't mean 500 to 1,000 to 15 years ago. I mean stuff that Elijah Muhammad was saying in the 30s and the 40s. I'm saying things that have been documented in our storied history from then till now. You feel me? There needs to be an onus and an impetus on people that are having that conversation in public to be more responsible with it. Because, you know, again, now we're seeing things that we can't explain. And it's a very weird place to be with a people who pride themselves on knowing everything, right? That now it looks like you really don't know nothing. You know? So my time is running out. I appreciate, you know, the opportunity to get in front of you guys for an hour and share some thoughts on my mind, as well as, you know, you guys tapping in as well and us having this communication. It was dope. I appreciate it. And we're definitely going to follow up soon and, you know, reconnect and tap back in. For the meantime, in between time, peace, love, and light. All right. Get outside, do something monumental today. Random acts of kindness. You feel me? And again, yeah, just do something strong on the strong end. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate y'all. Oh, December 31st, Bookstore Gallery, Old 4th Ward on Edgewood. The link is in the bio. All right, pull up on us. We are going to have a monumental festivity for y'all. Peace.